So, welcoming to the podcast, a gorgeous, wonderful person who's already been on. In fact, you were on just this week, Michael Koltes, sitting down for an
In
amazing.
Bangkok.
I know. So last time we were in Bangkok together, and currently we are here tuning in from London and China. And I just want to, well, we want to just have a brief chat with you listeners, just going, so why another one? And really, I think it's this thing that you and I, we met each other so many years ago, and then we've kind of had these, in a way, parallel lives. We're both performers, right? And going into this, and not even going into, always had this energetic, energy healing perspective, spiritual perspective, and how can we embody that and live that in a grounded, actionable way, right? And then, we had such a great time the other week doing that podcast in Bangkok, and we were texting, and we were both like, hey, it feels like there's more here. And so, long story short, we decided to create this session called Limitless with Michael and Josie, and today is the first one. So, Michael, over to you.
Here we are. Yes. Where to start? Well, I guess we want to talk about what we're gonna do in this. I've been writing this book, and Josephine's also written a book. It's kind of a similar thing, talking about parallel lives. You've actually put your book out. What's it called?
So, I have three books, and one is
Three
called,
books. Sorry.
it's all right, don't worry, The
The
Morning.
first one.
The first one was called The Morning Miracle, and similar to yours,
Uh-huh.
it has 30 different topics, and each topic is kind of a world, a universe of its own. It's kind of a centering thought for the day, and similar to yours, right? Which I know you have, is it 58 chapters or something like that?
It's getting, well, no, I have 54 now. I'm building it. I wrote another one this morning, so it's started up again.
Ah, I love this. Yeah, so
Yeah.
continue. So we were like, you were sharing with me, hey Josie, I'm writing this book. It's been a project, an ongoing, developing project, a soup in the making for a while. But the concepts, the topics are, I guess, well, not I guess, they're universal. It's something
Uh-huh.
everyone can relate to. And
Yeah.
just were like, wow, there's so much here. There's so much good stuff here. And so instead of, just having another podcast about Michael, which would be wonderful, we were like, hey, let's share these amazing food for thoughts, little inspiration bubbles, things that we've both
Exactly.
experienced throughout our life, in the hope that you guys, you listeners out there, will really be able to see it in your own lives, feel it in your own life, and essentially just know that you're not alone in whatever experience you're having, whether that's a fun moment or a difficult moment, right?
Yeah, hopefully it'll help you out in your challenging times or great times. Anyway, so my book is called Bite Sized, and it's 54 chapters now. It's the same principle as Josephine's, where it's like a chapter, you read it per day basically. Like I'm aiming for 100, so I still have a while to go. Maybe by the end of the year I'll have it done. But I think it's good for a podcast because each of these is like a connected topic, but they're all in the same vein, all about like our daily lives and self-improvement and, you know, um, little things and experiences that I'm sure we've all been through. And today we're going to kick it off and we're going to talk about attracting, and not chasing.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I've had a very busy because I've got my album coming out on Sunday, so I've been running around like a headless chicken today, trying to set up the shop and getting all these orders out and stuff because people are ordering the album, thank God. And so I haven't actually had a chance to reread the chapter. So, but I think we pretty much all know what we're going to talk about.
Absolutely. And I also think, I think that's the beauty, right? Life happens, and
Yeah.
life is built from everyday moments. And that's really is what our, us getting together, creating these limitless episodes. It's a reminder to everyone that, you know, what you do, in the everyday is how you do everything. And so these are just principles to feel inspired by. So your chapter was called, I think it was called Chase, no, Don't Chase, Attract. And I just want to add in that don't chase, elevate, and attract. So instead of chasing, meaning always being in the doing mode, always thinking that I have to work harder, I have to achieve more, I have to hustle more, I have to be on more, right? Instead of having that external expression, this kind of quite limited belief system that unless I'm constantly producing, I'm not going to be able to reap the rewards, reap the seeds that I'm hoping to produce, right? and and it's also very much, it's a very busy bee. It's kind of what society teaches us, but instead there's just this wonderful thing of like, you know, don't chase, I'm going to give you a quote, don't chase butterflies, instead create a beautiful garden, let the butterflies find you. So instead of being so busy looking everywhere outside of ourselves, how can we come back to our own center? How can we rebuild ourselves from the inside out? And then, come what may. So almost, letting go of attachment to outcome, but bringing the attention inwards to the only thing we can actually ever really control, which is our own self, right? So as in, how do you, if you know that you're going to feel great from doing a workout, make sure you do your workout, prioritize that before anything else. It's just really basic principles. So we'll get into, some things that Michael do, some things that I do, and hopefully it'll be a really inspirational episode. But yay, kicking off with our first Limitless,
There we go.
Michael and Josie.
Yeah, I mean, also, I think on these podcasts, we're going to be doing other things as well. Like sometimes I might sing a song, because I'm writing a lot of songs, and I just thought, that'd be cool. If there's a song that relates to some of the topics, we'll do that. And Josephine will do some other things. So the episodes will be all kinds of things. So it's not just going to be talking. This one, because it's an introductory one, it will be more just like going over a few things, but we'll get into our first topic, obviously. But in the future, we'll definitely be adding some other things.
Absolutely. I mean, also in the whole theme of limitless, right? So it's about thinking outside of the box. It's about questioning and reframing our own limited belief systems, which we all have. So, it's a never, being alive, being a human being is a never ending story, right? So even when you feel like, oh, things are going good, like I feel good, I feel healthy, I feel inspired, you'll still meet an edge within yourself. Something will pop up and you'll go, oh my God, I actually have this limited beliefs that I'm a person who can do this, or I'm a person that can receive this, produce this, whatever. We all have them. So these sessions are all about just going, oh my God, yes, we can have an amazing singer singing his beautiful songs at the same time as doing hey, here's some food for thought, right? So even the way that we are creating this together is limitless. And so, yeah, I love that. And also everything in life is, I always say when people, because I teach a lot of yoga and people are always like, oh, what do you teach? I'm like, I don't teach. I don't think we can actually teach people anything. That would be like me putting something on top of you, but I can embody it. And so through our experience here today, it's really just our hope that it inspires you listeners out there to think outside the box and to notice your own limited belief systems. And whenever you notice an edge, can we move through that? Can we break some of those limitations? So kicking that off today, Michael, tell us a little bit about, maybe give us an example of an experience in your life where you noticed you were chasing something and how it felt in your body and why it wasn't working. Yeah, maybe some of those things. Yeah.
I mean, this can apply to a lot of things. I don't know also if you're familiar with human design, I'm sure you are. But I'm a projector, which projectors are supposed to wait for things and wait for invitations. So it's like a heightened version of patience needed in this thing, which is tested me a lot, because everyone around me is like, oh, you got to take action, you got to do stuff. But to be honest, like if I look at the majority of good jobs, good friendships, good relationships in my life, they came to me, when I wasn't trying to find them. And this is the point I think that we're talking about today. Like sometimes you have to make a little bit of an effort just to sort of, I guess, tell the universe, this is what I'm interested in. But you have to sort of let it out of your hands. Like you can't control the outcome. And to be honest, we never know what actually is the best for us. So instead of always stressing out about the how or, I want that thing, like chances are there's something that's 10 times better for you out there. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. Like I've noticed like some of these old jobs that I've been doing that I wasn't happy doing them. They've all felt like they've been kind of like in a rut, and like I've stressed out on a lot of them and stuff like that. But they've sort of been falling away recently, and it's got me thinking. It's like maybe it's just because I'm not supposed to do them. There's something so much better. And if I look at it like in the time that these things are falling away, it's given me time to finish my album, and now I have an album, and it's building for something better in the future, and a lot of times we can get stressed out about the what's happening right now, I'm not doing anything. I don't have any job. I don't have any relationship and all that. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to take a breath and go, I'll be okay. I've been okay this whole time. I've lived my life. I've not starved. I'm okay. There's been a lot of situations, even this one time, I'll tell you, I went onto this film set in China. It was this really massive film during COVID, and I got to the hotel, and I just like paid my rent, and then I got called to the film set, and then I tried to order something on like delivery, Deliveroo, whatever the Chinese version, and it said you have no money. And I was like, what? I have no money, but my first reaction was like, oh shit, I'm fucked. But then I started to think about this more carefully, and I'm like, actually, I'm fine. I literally just paid all my bills. I'm on a film set, I'm working. I'm getting, even though, like the payment is maybe in 2 weeks, I'm getting 3 meals a day. I have a place to stay. Everything is okay, and then by the time I finished that, I had 10,000 bucks, so it was just like, we are taken care of, even though you do get down to the wire maybe sometimes, but you're still alive. We're still alive. We're still here, so we have a purpose. We have a reason that we're here. And sometimes we got to take that stress out of it and just, tell ourselves we're all right. We've been all right. We've survived all these different challenges and obstacles in life, and we will be okay.
Oh my God, I love that. Let's take a breath, inhale and exhale. Just because
Yeah.
there's so much in there, and the breath is so nice because the breath just allows us to feel everything a little bit more, right? I love all of this. You touched upon so many things, and thank you for sharing your own journey so much. I think this is like one of the most, this is one of the most valuable things we can gift people is really our honest lived experience, because that's also what we relate to. And it's what we see and find and feel ourselves in. So I can relate to that so much. And I'm sure so many people out there listening can relate to that too, whether you are an actor, whatever, however your life situation is. But that thing of going, something out of your control happens. And it's so easy for the brain to just overanalyze, over criticize, getting stuck in that all the things that feels as if it's lacking, or which is evidence of you failing or somehow not being enough, or I might, like you said, that thing of hang on, I've stayed alive. I've managed to actually keep myself alive up until this point, so there's pretty good chances that
I will stay alive.
I'll
We'll be okay.
continue, I'll continue to stay alive. And I love that you touched on that because it's such I always call it, it dates back, it goes back to how we actually sense and how our own personal relationship with life itself, right? Because it's really easy to get caught up in all the stories of how life should look, could look, all of that, but in the end of the day we're guaranteed nothing. And so the fact that you're still breathing, we're here in the Zoom, it's happening, things are pretty good. Like let's remove all of the crazy thoughts and the 500 ideas about who I should be, could be, ought to be. And if we just go back to basics and go, well, we are alive right now. And like you said, the fact that you were able to pull yourself out of that kind of scarcity, fearful mindset and go, let me just take a moment, take a breath, and notice the things that actually are working in my life right now, right?
Mm.
Having that ability is super important. I want to go back to the theme. So you started out saying who you are in human design, right? So I'm a manifesting generator, so slightly different from you. But what I want to share about that for listeners is whether you're into human design or not, what you're touching upon, Michael, is super important. Different things are going to work for different people. Same,
Exactly.
right? And this is such like if we just start there at the basis, so when we're talking about this whole concept of, don't chase, elevate, attract. Different things are going to work for different people. So you were mentioning for you personally, you're actually someone where you're like, whoa, because I'm this personality that actually needs to really, through lived experience, you are a person that have developed a deep sense of patience, patience with life, patience with things coming together, patience with yourself, right? And that over time has built the trust within yourself and within life that, yeah, I am a someone where, you know, not that you're on the back seat, you absolutely take action. I mean, you're one of the most hardworking people I know. But it's a very different approach because I'm a generator. And again, whether or not you know about human design, I am someone that actually I need feedback from my environment. So and again, I'm an expert, I'm an ex-dancer. I very much need to be out there. That doesn't mean I'm out there everywhere all the time, but I feel my environment. So you can see me right now, Michael. I'm like moving back and forth with that mic, right?
Feeling your environment over there.
I'm like me and the pod, right?
Yeah.
I'm physically sensing it. And if I'm not out there doing that, so if I took a more, obviously as a generator, I still need to take aligned action. I can't just be everywhere all the time, which is what I used to do when I was younger and I was completely burnt out. And it needs to be in alignment with my goals, with my dreams, all of that. But I do need to be out there quite a lot because otherwise I can't actually sense I can't sense and feel the opportunities. So that's a slightly different approach. So step number one, in order to elevate, attract, and not chase, step number one is know what works for you. Are you a person that needs to be out there? Are you a person that understands more about themselves through talking to others? Are you someone that I need to be in a city to realize I crave the countryside? Like you do everything very much from a sensory experience, or are you someone that really restores, rejuvenates, recharges a lot in their own space and really needs that almost like cave time? I'm not saying that you're a cave person, but like step number one is understand who you are and what really, when you look back over your life, when has the most amazing opportunities come your way? Did they come because, you were trying new things, or did they come because you actually took a step back and just were like, I'm just going to get really excited about this one new activity, or this one thing that I like to do? So
Try
figuring,
to enjoy my life. Yeah.
right. Yeah, exactly. And then that thing of, I like to relate everything to nature. So I always see like, nature never judges itself. So a tree is going to continue to grow. It doesn't ever go like, well, I'm only going to be 1 meter tall because I don't want the other trees to be jealous and not like me because now they're jealous of me, right? Like a tree is going to grow as much as it's going to grow. The end. And also, so the same thing, if you have a dream, whatever that dream is, it could be something, let's call it a relationship. You want to be in love. Yay. But now you're getting, you're a very practical person. You're like, okay, it's a numbers game. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to get on all the apps. I'm going to, like full on like spreadsheet experience, right? And now if you're doing all the steps and that by the doing makes you feel amazing and excited, you feel like you've already succeeded on some level because you took the action. If that really is how you feel and that makes you feel really good about yourself, great, keep doing it. Now, if you do all those actions, and on day one, where you go on your first date and you're like, this is shit, this is terrible, and you start to feel worse and worse and worse about yourself, and all you can see is how there's no one out there for you, and you're putting in all this effort and no one is out there, right? Then your energy, of course, what you're telling yourself every day is, I'm somehow failing at this, or life is failing me, or love just isn't possible for me, right? And so
I think this is the projector story for a lot of people. The projectors that like no matter how much they're trying, it's actually like you're doing the wrong thing. All you have to do is actually just wait for it to happen, which is very difficult, I think, because society is always telling, you got to take action, you got to get out there, you got to do this, you got to do that. I mean, your parents, everyone, society is just like boom, 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 boom all the time. But if that is not who you are, then that's not what you should be doing. You have to find out what is right for you because otherwise you are just wasting your energy. And okay, as a projector, we don't have that much energy, so we should not be wasting it doing all that stuff. We're supposed to be resting as much as possible. I think if anybody's watching this and you don't know about human design, I would definitely recommend that you look it up and find out what you are because there is quite a big difference between some energy types. Like a generator, you have a lot more sacral energy and keeps you going and you can go, 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 go. Whereas like a projector, if you do that, you'll burn out. And so you need to rest more. And, even like it even applies to how you work out in the gym. As a generator, work out late, sleep better generally, or, you can work out longer, do more cardio whereas for a projector, do short ones, do like 45 minutes, that's it, and do it earlier in the day, and then you'll sleep better because like when you're more relaxed, you sleep better. So these things are very beneficial. So if you haven't learned about human design, go do it.
Absolutely, that's a great place to start. I love that. Absolutely. So first of all, find out who you are, and and if you don't really agree with the human design system, try a different system. Try astrology. If you're still not into that thing, again, just write down, think about 3 days in your life or 3 periods, 3 chapters of your life where you thought, actually, I had really good energy. I felt I was really healthy and I felt inspired. I felt good in my life. I felt like things were working out, things were good. And then try and get really specific. How did, why did those periods of your life feel so good? Who were you with? What was the activity? How were you living your day? What was your daily schedule like you was talking about, Michael, right? Like, were you working out early in the morning, late at night? How were you protecting your own energy, right? So find that out. Try and get an idea about what works for you as a person and what doesn't. And
Yeah,
then
and also like, did things come to you, or did you like go out and find them? Those are also very interesting things to check out.
I really love that. And I think also on this whole topic of I love we like doing this like hand thing so we understand when the other person is talking. We're like, yes, oh my
No, you. All right.
God.
Wait,
Yeah, yeah.
I
No.
got the bats in here. Here,
Oh
my
yeah,
turn.
amazing, love it.
Paddle.
No, what I wanted to share is like, and again on this whole like don't chase, elevate, attract. So
Ah,
elevate, yeah, your package. Mike
all
has a
right.
package, but I'll talk a little bit about
Sorry.
how Mike
One
goes into
second.
this thing. So basically, everything in life, again, if we relate it back to nature, if you want to have a beautiful garden with lots of wonderful plants and flowers, what would you do? First of all, you would create the right environment, right? You would check out the soil. You would check out how often does it rain in this country? How much sunlight does it get? And you would try and cultivate the soil in a way that is appropriate, and you would marry it with plants that would really enjoy that kind of environment. So you would plant little seeds that like less sun. You would plant seeds in a different place in your garden that needs a lot of sun, right? And then what you would do is, so you would take appropriate action. You would study the environment, study what plants would work for that environment, study what are my options in that environment, what are my optimal options. So I'm not going to try and like I'm not going to try and plant a lily that needs lots of water in the middle of the desert where there's no water. That would just be insanity, right? So we study the environment. We get clear on the environment, i.e. getting clear on who you are, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And then we buy those seeds. We plant the seeds in the specific parts of the garden. And yes, if there are certain seeds that needs more water, we water more. But now here's the thing. Chasing would be trying to dig out our own seeds daily to check to see if they were blooming and sprouting. Elevating means we're cultivating the garden. We're walking out, checking in. Do we need a little more water? Is there some weeds? So it's a gentle, aligned, and precise, energy efficient action We're not out there in the garden trying to dig up to ensure that the seeds are blooming and sprouting when we personally feel the time is right, because we are anxious. What happens if I put in all this effort and my plants decide to not bloom and sprout, right? So there's a timing element to this. There is trusting the timing, trusting the process, and then taking aligned action. So instead of chasing, would be running around digging up the whole garden, not trusting that life is going to take over, not trusting that actually, nature is really resilient. And the last thing to bloom on a fruit tree is indeed the fruit. So chasing would be that. It would be going out and destroying the entire garden. Elevating is taking step by step, conscious, aligned, well-researched actions. And then attraction. The seeds will bloom and sprout when the time is right. Because why? The seeds are attracted to the light. The seeds are attracted to the light. And as a metaphor for you listeners out there, whatever it is you're wanting is attracted by your light, is attracted by your frequency. And so the most important job we have as human being is to increase our own frequency, to increase our own lightness and our own brightness. Not being so engaged with what is going on around us, but really bring our awareness fully within us and nurture that garden that is our own life supply. Let's breathe in and breathe out. So listeners out there, while we still wait for Mike, I would like you to think about 3 things, 3 actionable, easy steps, 3 activities, 3 things, 3 spaces, 3 people that naturally uplifts your energy, i.e. nourishes your own inner garden, nourishes and increases your own energy frequency. So what could they be? Perhaps there are certain people that just by listening to their voice, you instantly feel uplifted and inspired. Even just having them, having a quick phone call with them, they always bring your mood up. There might be certain places you go to. Maybe it's a garden, a park, maybe it's a gym, maybe it's a beautiful yoga place, maybe it's a wonderful cinema that you love going to, a library. Every place on our planet holds its own energetic frequency, and it will match or uplift or change ever so gently, subtly change your own frequency. And so even places holds really sacred, potent energy. So becoming aware of what places do I feel really good in? When I go to this place, I know that my energy increases and I feel really good just having spent a little bit of time there. So get clear on what people lifts you up. I call them energy boosters. What places lifts your energy? And then also what activities boost your energy? So perhaps you're someone, so as we know, Michael is a singer. So obviously for him, sound and singing is super important. He's also an actor. So for him, acting is really important, right? What else, what activities is something that naturally, just by doing it, lifts your energy? Is it reading? Is it hanging out, spending time with really good friends? Is it going on an adventure? And it doesn't have to be big. Maybe you just take the train, you get off the train at a different station. Maybe you go out and explore the nearby wood. Maybe you just walk a different route home. So exploration, perhaps the activity of exploration is something that naturally boosts your energy. That's something for me. So personally, I'm someone that I really thrive. I thrive doing new things. And so for me personally, even though I like my everyday routine, and I do a whole coaching course on love your everyday. So I really love that. But personally for me, hello, Michael is back.
Hello, I'm back.
I'm someone that needs to do new activities. If I'm not in new places, new spaces, I kind of feel stuck. So that's something I know about myself. So Michael, just recapping you here, we're just talking about 3 things that people can do for themselves today, getting clear on people that boost their energy, places that boost their energy, and activities that boost their energy. And all of this just to say that if we look at ourselves as a microorganism, right? You know, so if we look at ourselves as a garden, so a garden needs a specific environment, and it also needs nourishment, not just in terms of food, but the people we surround ourselves with, right? And that whole thing of chasing, do not chase, but attract. If we were to walk out into our garden and we wanted to plant a beautiful garden, we would understand the environment and we would match it with seeds that would bloom and sprout and thrive in that environment. So we wouldn't try and plant plants that wouldn't be right for that garden. We would plant the seeds. I would have the idea. We would take a aligned action planting the seeds. But then once they were in that soil, we wouldn't go out and dig up the whole garden to go like, are you blooming and sprouting? That would be chasing. And by chasing,
Yeah.
we're actually messing everything up, right? We're stopping the blooming and sprouting. It just isn't possible. Over to you, Michael.
Exactly. Sometimes we just got to, I guess, be patient and, it's like same principle as a delivery. Like you make the delivery and if you're always checking the post, it's not going to make it come any faster. It's going to come when it comes. And so sometimes we just got to go get busy doing other things, find something productive or something that makes you happy and then let that happen when it happens. I think this is a key thing. Like a lot of times going back to this chasing, attracting, even I was house hunting for a place. I really needed a place to stay, and I was looking and looking. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything good. Like everything that I was looking at was terrible. And then one evening, on maybe my third day, somebody just messages me and asked me if I was looking for a room. And I was like, "Oh, how did you know?" And they're like, "Oh no, a friend of mine was asking if I knew anybody." So I thought, I don't know, maybe you might know somebody. But I was like, I'm looking, and I went to find the place to look at the place, and it was perfect. So this is how it usually is for me. No matter how much I chase and go out and do stuff, at the end of the day, the right thing comes to me without me actually contacting that person. That it's like some random thing that comes to me out of nowhere that I totally didn't expect. I don't know if this is a projector thing or just a universal thing,
I
but I
think
guess.
it's
Mhm.
a bit of both, but I think there's so much in there because I think there's a saying I love, which is there's a much bigger plan here for you. And
Yeah.
that's not just a feel good. I think this also takes in, it brings into the situation, it brings into the experience, the life experience that there was life before you and I were here. And there was life that brought us,
Really?
right?
Oh.
That brought yeah, and there is life that is continuing to keep us alive. And again, regardless of whether you call it universe, God, love, soul, there's so many names, whatever you call it. And for me, it's just energy, and it's nothing above us or below us. It's just part of us. But my point is, this thing, whatever, this energy, it brought us here. It continues to keep us here. Like you said on that shoot where you're like, fuck, I have no money. And then you're like, hang on, something has kept me alive and I've managed to stay alive. So pretty big chance I'll do another few years on this planet, right? But like
Yeah.
remembering that there's a bigger plan here for us. And again, when we look at that garden, so we planted the seeds, and then we don't just sit there, like we go out and we water, but then there's that like simmering of the soup, like we talked about in your podcast the other week, right? There is that time where we have to just enjoy the plants that are already bloomed and sprouted in the garden, right? We can go and do a little reading, maybe, but not getting so attached to how we think the outcome should come, how it should come, how it should look, like not getting obsessed about the how and the when, but feel good about the why. Why did you do it in the first place? Why did you want to plant a garden in the first place, right?
Hmm.
I really, really love that. I think all of those things are so juicy. And one more thing, and I do want you to talk, and I know we have to go as always, such limited time in our Limitless podcast. um,
Yeah, I thought you said it was limitless. How come we're limited to no?
well, we've got to
No.
face, and this is something again. So on this planet, this is
Mhm.
something. This is a law we are bound by. So again, similarly to doesn't mean we can't stretch time, but we put that plant in the ground. You might have had an idea. So your desire was like, oh, I really want to find a new house, right? So you take aligned actions. You go on some sites, maybe you talk to some friends. Now, From the moment you had the idea, and you can probably remember where you were at, the house you were at, how you felt on the moment where you were like, I need a new place, right? And then from you had that desire, your heart was like, whoa, new place, yes. But then you took the actions, and then by the time you start noticing what are my options are coming to you, there might be a little bit of a waiting period, right? There might be a little, I had the desire, and because the ego usually is like, I have a desire, now I want the fulfillment, right? And it's like, but the fulfillment, time and space, on this planet, we are bound by physical time and space. That might be what your brain would notice as a delay. It's not necessarily a delay, but there's a space, there's a gap, there's a heartbeat. We take a breath, right? So just that understanding that there's a bigger plan here for you, and trusting. So it doesn't mean any actions, but we take aligned action. We don't just run around like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And just to help everyone, think about their life and think actually how good you have it. Just go back like a few hundred years. The life expectancy was like 30 or 40 years. Like I played Karl Marx before, and he lost how many kids? He lost like 3 kids, and kids were dying all the time, and people are getting robbed and mugged and stabbed, and it was normal, like we have it really good where the world isn't in a massive war. We're not dying of starvation. We're not eating potatoes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So actually, when you think about it, our life, even if you're going through a challenging time, is much better than a lot of people had it for thousands of years. So I think it's very good to remember that, and to take that into consideration, when you realize, like, when you're thinking about, oh, what a crap day I'm having, like no one's like threatening to stab you or shoot an arrow, or, you're okay. You're okay. You have a house to live, hopefully. You have food, you have choices, you can order something online, you can go to a cafe or a restaurant without getting mugged, you know. We have it much better than our ancestors did.
Oh my God, I love that so much. And I think, amazing perspective, really good perspective, and a perspective that, it's so obvious, but it's something that so often we don't think about, right? So I really, really love that. And I also just think of the only thing, our whole life is actually made just from an idea of what we think it is. I'm not talking about outer, like how it physically looks, but our whole life is based on the story we have in our own mind. And that story, the story will always look for evidence. So your brain will always go, ooh, so maybe you have a feeling where you feel sad that day, and your brain will be like, because the brain wants to give you more of what you're feeling. It wants to give evidence so that it can prove its own existence. So the ego is like, oh my God, Josie, you feel sad? I'll tell you why you feel sad. And it will like point the fingers at all the things in my life that apparently my mind is like, maybe you're sad because of all these things, right? But it's just that reminder that, well, that's a choice. I can also choose to do what you did, Michael, in that situation, right? And go, actually, so what I do to trick my own brain is I don't just go, oh, I feel so safe and secure with my finances. What I would do, because the brain can't argue with itself, so which is hilarious. So if you go, why do I feel so safe and secure in this situation? Then the brain will look for evidence of that. Michael, you have frozen. So Michael is in this very cool pose of like, with eyes closed, looking very poetic and romantic, really taking in the information. But yeah, I just want to finish off with that little trick. It's something I've used for a long time now, and I really love it. So instead of just going, a lot of people do a lot of limited belief work. They work in front of the mirror and they go, I am beautiful. But if you don't feel that, it can be really kind of, But if you change it to, so for instance, it could be healthy. You could go, why am I so healthy? So if you put the why in front, so you're asking yourself a question, now you're working with your brain. The brain will always look for evidence in the outer world or in your past life, earlier years, to give you evidence of why you feel you're having the experience you're having, and it's doing it to prove its own existence. And so using that little why can be a really powerful way to kind of trick your brain to produce evidence for you that is actually uplifting your energy instead of bringing you down. So I wanted to just finish
That's
with that.
great.
It's cool, right?
Yeah,
Love it.
I'll have to try that. Yeah.
Please do. Michael, I sadly have to go, but I look forward to doing this again. Is there any final words that you want to share with the community?
No, except if you haven't subscribed, then do that, and put a like so these podcasts can get out there. I think that's important. And come back again. We hope to take you on this journey together as we discover ourselves, and hopefully you can too.
Oh my God, I love that so much. 100%. We're here learning with you all. Like, we're not here going like, oh, this is the way. We're here going, fuck, this is definitely not the way, but there are other ways. So
Yeah, this is the way I figure it out for myself anyway. We're both like this similar but different, so you have a couple different perspectives on it, which is great.
100%. Thank you so much, Michael and listeners. We will be
Thank you,
back
Josephine.
next week. Thank you. Thank you.